Hey, how you doing? This is Brogi Naric, and I'm here with another video. Today, I want to be giving my ideas, a little quick pitch for Ghostbusters 3. That's supposed to be coming out in 2000 on June 2020. This was dropped a couple weeks ago, and I would have had this out sooner, but I got really deep into this, and it took me a while to put this together. Well, beforehand, let me say I love Ghostbusters. I'm not like a super fan, but I do love Ghostbusters. I love the idea, I love the concept. I've seen the first two movies, I have not seen the 2016 movie. So if there's any certain similarities, it's mostly by accident because haven't seen that movie. So the new movie will be directed by Jason Reitman, who is the son of the original director, Ivan Reitman. He's directed Juno and Up in the Air. I haven't seen Juno, but I have seen Up in the Air, and those were fine. It's going to be made by Sony, and one of the rumors so far is that it's going to focus on teens, which I hope it doesn't. I think that's a terrible idea. But one thing, this movie is not going to be connected to the 2016 movie either. So it's going to be following the original continuity, and I'm going to be playing around with that continuity just a little bit. As a quick synopsis, the plot is basically going to be a combination of the Extreme Ghostbusters cartoon and the episode from the real Ghostbusters called uh, When Halloween Was Forever. That's essentially the basis of what this new movie that I'm thinking of is going to be. Before the voiceover, we see that this movie takes place 6 years before the present, so it's in 2014. Let's listen to this. So it's going to start with a little voiceover. You're going to see some old news footage of the Ghostbusters, and it's going to be someone talking about how they looked up to the Ghostbusters when they were a kid, and they were inspired by them. And one Ghostbuster in particular, Egon Spengler, and we find out that this person is Egon's nephew named Derek Spengler. And I'm not sure if I don't think he had family, but we can retcon that he had some family. He just wasn't that close to them. And this guy is Egon's nephew named Derek Spengler, who I would have be played by Jason Segel, who is, from How I Met Your Mother, Forgetting Sarah Marshall. He's a good actor, and his character would be like the new Peter Venkman type character. And he got into science because he was inspired by his uncle and the Ghostbusters, but he sucks at it. He's not that good at it, but he is good at business and marketing, and he got a degree in that. And so he's an entrepreneur. But once he gets his uncle's portion of the Ghostbusters franchise, he then uses that to make money. So he goes to the remaining Ghostbusters, which would be Ray, which would be the others, and they're doing okay, but they're not making much money because the Ghostbusters haven't really been fighting any ghosts, but they have been sort of living on the little bit of fame that they do have from the people who still care because it's been a while since they've done anything. So with his marketing skills, he fixes the team up. He gets them. They start doing more con appearances, talking on talk shows. Because there's a loyal fan base who still appreciate what they have to say, and he actually gets them to start to do their own like little TV show. Maybe it's on the internet, but it's kind of like it's a play on ghost hunters and ghost adventures, that type of stuff, which is a bit phony for them. But some of the certain reasons they kind of go with it because some of the enjoyment has been taken out of the job, and it is something to do in a way. Before they do that, there'll be a new guy added to the team who is Spengler's friend from college. I don't have a name for him, but I would want him to be played by John Cho. And this guy, like I said, is the new Egon. He's super smart and he's an inventor. But unlike Spengler, who was supposed to be more like a modern day Mr. Spock, I would have this character be more like Dr. McCoy, where he's grumpy, he's grouchy, he's a bit of a loner, and he's a little kooky as well. So like Doc Brown, but not too over the top like Holtzman from the last movie. But it's just a different dynamic to have on the team. Ray and Winston are hanging with the new guys, Derek and John Cho's character. But we find out one of the reasons they aren't completely out of business is because the EPA has eased off of them, and they haven't been dealing with a lot of lawsuits from people, a lot of people trying to scam them. And one of the reasons is that because the mayor of New York has been protecting them from that. And we find out that the mayor of New York at the time is Peter Venkman. He used his influence and his fame from being a Ghostbuster to become the mayor of New York. And he won the 2013 election, so he's been mayor. But eventually, a scandal leads him to, and it's a scandal, whether it's in a divorce or maybe some money problems, but it leads to him being impeached, and he would get divorced from Dana Barrett. They got together, but something happens, and then that leads to more things coming out. He ends up losing his job, and he's replaced by the new mayor, who I would have to be played by John Turturro, and he starts the Paranormal Contracts Oversight Commission, or PCOC, which would be like a roadblock for them, and sort of, if it's from the video game, if you remember that. And it's like a roadblock, so like the EPA, and they would have the person who's in charge of that, which instead of it being Walter Peck, it would be a new character, I would have it be played by Regina King. Regina King is funny, she can be funny, and she's also a serious actress. And if you don't know, she was the voice of Huey and Riley from the Boondocks, so I would have her play that character. In the present day, 2020, when things is established to the present, we go to the Museum of Natural History, and they're unloading items for this new exhibit that's going to focus on Celtic history. And some weird things start going down, and a ghost appears and attacks someone, and so they don't know what to do, and someone suggests maybe we should isn't there someone that usually handles this, and it goes to the Ghostbusters. And in 2020, once the commission has been established and Venkman has been thrown out, they've been dealing with a lot of lawsuits, and they're practically about to be out of business. And it's mainly just Derek and John Cho's character who are there. Winston has officially retired, and Ray is kind of there. He's mainly working at his bookstore. So when they get the call, it's the three of them, Jason Segel, John Cho, and Dan Aykroyd. They arrive on the scene, and since they're new at this, they've been Ghostbusters for 5 years, but they've never actually seen or fought an actual ghost, and that would give them a reason for them to have comedy mishaps and not quite know how to use the equipment. So when they're searching for it, they mess some things up and causes commotion, and they find the ghost, but they can't capture it because the ghost is too powerful and the equipment is not strong enough to capture it. So the ghost escapes, and they get thanked. The people are mad at them because they destroyed everything, but they're like, I guess that helped. And they meet the curator of the new exhibit, who I would have played by Rosamund Pike. You might know from Gone Girl or The World's End. That's the thing I mainly know her from. And she would be like our new Dana Barrett, and the love interest for Jason Segel's character. And she's trying to get this exhibit going on, which will focus on Celtic history. And the grand opening for the exhibit would be on Halloween for the Festival of Samhain. So, if you don't know Sam Hain, is the original Halloween, and he's a villain from the cartoon, and he would be the main villain of this movie. So after that experience, more ghosts appear, and so now they kind of got to get the business back together, and so they develop new equipment, and they have to hire some new employees to deal with this. So we have Ray Stantz, who, and this time he would be like a widower, like he was married, and he has a daughter who's she's young, but she's probably like 19, maybe 20, and he gives his daughter a job at the Ghostbusters. She would be the secretary person handling the calls. She would be the new Janine of the Ghostbusters, and she's young. She's not really into ghosts, and she's not nerdy or anything like that, but she is pretty tech savvy. And I would have her be played by a new actress named Melanie Field, who is going to be in the new Heathers show, and she seems very talented. I think she can pull this off, and she's got a different look. She's a plus size actress, so just a different look to her. But she would be Ray's younger daughter. Another character I would add would be Kylie Griffin, if you might know from the comics and from the Extreme Ghostbusters cartoon. And I would have, it took me a while, I would have Jane Levy to play this character from Castle Rock and Suburgatory. And Kylie Griffin she's mainly a occult researcher. She's a fan of the occult, and she's also super smart. And she would be Ray's apprentice, and she works at Ray's occult bookstore. And then Ray knows that she's good at what she does. He brings her on to the team, and she would be sort of like the new Ray of the team as well. And she works to pay for her college career. And then another member we would add would be I'm calling him Terrence Zeddemore, who is Winston Zeddemore's son, and he would be played by Trevante Rhodes from Moonlight and Predator, The Predator or whatever. And in this, he would be a veteran. He'd be a Marine vet, just like his dad was. And he was a field medic, which would make him he's an actual doctor. He's like a medical doctor, not a science doctor. And he would be a family man. He has a wife and 2 kids. And the thing about him is he's an adrenaline junkie. He likes excitement, and he grew up loving Ghostbusters, and he always wanted some sort of excitement. So that's one of the reasons why he went into the military. And he's been out, and he needs a new job. So Ray hooks him up with a job, and he joins the team. So that would be your new Ghostbusters team. And so, they get together. We'd have a new Ecto. I would call it will be the Ecto 2, which is in the comics. It's a modified RV, and it has a containment unit inside of it because they need an extra vehicle because there's so much going on, and they got a slightly bigger team, so they can have 2 people doing different missions or 2 groups doing different missions at the same time. So the Ghostbusters, one of them, eventually discover that the increase in the ghost activity resides with a artifact that's at the museum, part of the Sam Hain uh, uh, exhibit. So they're doing their thing, and it's getting closer to Halloween, which would be the grand opening of the exhibit. And at some time, as the curator is getting closer to the artifact, there's like some evil energy off of it starts to influence her, and she gets worried, and then that's how the Ghostbusters interact more with her. So they want to get to the museum to investigate, but the PCOC limits their access because they don't want them to cause any more damage and public safety. So when they have the grand opening, which is going to be on Halloween, it's like a ball or something. They go in disguise to sneak into the building to try to sneak out with the artifact, but they get stopped. They get stopped. They get caught by the mayor, and maybe Regina King stops them as well. When Regina King stops them, the mayor shows up, and they get into a big argument. And in that time, the curator, Rosamund Pike, she's under mind control, and she does something that unleashes the artifact, and then Sam Hain breaks out, and I would have him be played by Peter Capaldi from Doctor Who and other things. He's the evil demon. He's the spirit of Halloween, and he's happy to be free, and he just wants darkness to take over the world. Everybody's going crazy. Everyone evacuates, and the Ghostbusters are dealing with them, but they're overpowered, and they're about to be destroyed. But then the Ecto 2 crashes in, and it's got all this bright lights going off, and which temporarily weakens Sam Hain, and then out pops Peter and Winston. They came in to help them, and they fight it off, and then they escape before Sam Hain transforms the museum into his own secret fortress, and he gets all the ghosts to come to him to praise him and be with him, because he's sort of, these are his ghosts, and he wants them to live, to be free. And they eventually they notice that ghosts are going crazy, people are being attacked all over the city, and then eventually all the power in the city goes out and it's just pitch black. So now you have the old and the new team working together to stop Sam Hain and to save the curator, who he has held hostage inside of the new fortress. And so just like in a cartoon, they figure out a way they take the spotlights from outside of the museum. Ray sets it up, and he uses his proton pack to power them, while the others break into the fortress and try to meet up where Sam Hain is, which he allows them to because he doesn't really fear them that much. So when the time's right, they cut on the lights to distract him. The light weakens him, and then they all work together to recapture Sam Hain. The day is saved. There's a celebration in the streets, and that would be the end of the movie. That's like my quick pitch idea that they could potentially do for Ghostbusters 3. And I would prefer practical, like a mix of practical and CGI effects for the ghosts. Give the ghosts more unique designs as opposed to them looking sort of the same and just have this weird blue or green glow about them like they did in the last movie. And I would also focus more on good writing and not a bunch of ad-libbing. As you notice, the actors I chose, they're not necessarily known as comedians, but they are. Some of them are known as comedians, some of them aren't. And that was what worked with the original Ghostbusters. It was a mix of that. It wasn't necessarily how funny you were. It was the dialogue itself was funny, and then the actors being funny enhanced that. And I would want them to go into it. Don't just have something and then expect the actors to make it happen. It's like, no, let the script be good, and then they just enhance it. And those would just be some of the things I would do. I also had an idea of like maybe there's like some secret agent guy popping up who is like bothering Venkman, and he's like wants access to their material, and Venkman's kind of like, I don't know if I can do that, and then that can cause some tension between him and Ray, because he's like, oh, you only care about the money, you don't care about the team. And then we eventually find out that that agent guy that was who's trying to get the schematics and stuff, is working for the Men in Black, and you could probably lead that to a crossover with the Men in Black and the Ghostbusters. There's more characters from the comics you can throw in, like was this FBI agent named Ortiz. You can throw a character like that in the sequel. Just do things like that. You don't have to completely reinvent the wheel, because there's a lot of source material already out there. But let me know what you guys thought about this in the comments. Think this is a good idea? Does it sound like crap? Did I waste my time? Is this too good of an idea that it would never cross Sony's mind? Who knows? I've done other videos like this before. You can check them out on the channel. But if you like this video, hit the like button, share this, and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more videos. Peace.